welcome. I didn't shout A. I didn't do it. I didn't cut myself off by shouting A before we came in. That's awesome. Hello, welcome. SMC Bob, thank you for joining us. Hello, welcome. This is Metagaming. I had to think for a second there. I am not your usual host, but I am here with your usual host, Mr. Deranged Rhino, our special guest for today. Hello, Mr. Rhino.
Well, howdy doody.
Trying to find links. Like, you're really good at that, like, segue shit, and I'm like, I'm trying to do this. I'm like segueing by, do you like bananas? Because we got a split. Like, that's my kind of segue. I got nothing. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very good. Even better for being here, as usual.
Hell yeah. It's cool
Bit
to see
weird
you.
this side of the table, though.
Yeah, it's cool. This is like the meeting of the two people who host this show. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's good. We're going to talk about some shit. We're going to talk about your starts, your origins in Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to I got some questions for you, my friend. And
Okay.
as always, our wonderful viewers can ask questions, and I will collect them, or Mod will collect them and put them in a document, and then I will ask you those questions, and they're usually very good questions or highly embarrassing. We shall see. I'll start off easy by not dunking you in the deep end with like the most intricate what is the meaning of life questions. How did you get oh, that is the answer. If this was D&D, you'd get inspiration for that. So obviously I know this story, but people maybe don't. How did you first get introduced to D&D, and sort of what drew you into the game initially?
So, anyone that kind of knows me that has seen any of my setup, like I have a dragon there, I have a dragon above my monitors, I have one above my head. Everyone knows I love my dragons and stuff. Always love dragons. I've got 3 dragon tattoos, like
The boy with the dragon tattoo?
exactly. More like the man. Let's say it right.
The child with the dragon.
But so I've always loved dragons and stuff anyway, and as a teenager I wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, but all my friends at the time were into Warhammer. That was like the biggest thing.
Oh, that's the divide.
Yeah, you're talking kind of early to mid 90s, like that was the big push at the time.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons had kind of drifted off a little bit towards the late 80s. I think that was when they were going from 2E to like 3.5 and stuff, so it was kind of in a strange place anyway. So yeah, they were into that. I didn't want to get into that, so ended up never really playing it. Fast forward to 2017, I was at college and ended up having just a brief conversation with one of the guys I was at college with, and just said about, you know, D&D and stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, I've got some old books and stuff, and he showed me them and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Never really got into it though.
Yeah.
And looking back now, I realized that he had some proper old school D&D books. Like, we're talking like his dad's or his granddad's books. Like, I was so jealous thinking of it now. But and then obviously, as life carried on, we got into a stage where you came to me and said about, oh, I'm thinking about running some Dungeons and Dragons. What are you thinking about it? And I was like, well, yeah. When? Okay. Can we go now? Can we start today?
I have to go back on it. I have to check, but I think in my message I was like, I think you'd really like it, as if like you hadn't heard of D&D. I think I was talking to you like that. I was like, I think you'd really like it. I think it would suit you, because I was trying to convince everyone to play this game that I didn't know if anyone knew, and you were like, yes, I know D&D.
Yeah. Well, like I didn't know it to any level, but I was like, yes, I know of it. Yes, I'd love to play it. Let's get going. When are you starting? And then of course we went through the process of getting a few of us together. Obviously when we first started there was more of us.
It was 9, I think, when we started. The first table I had was 9, which was psychotic.
Yeah. Which, like, it was sad to see certain people jump out and stuff, but you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and that happens. So they ended up leaving, and it actually worked out as a more rounded number for us anyway.
Yeah, we ended up, I think, all the way down to 6 by the end, right? Because we kind of went down, and then we went up a little bit, and then back down.
It was like 9 to 7, back to 8, then down to 6, and that stayed as it was.
It stayed as a constant, yeah.
Yeah.
And 6 was a comfortable number, which is also why Wandering Isles is like 6 people. It just fits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sort of balance. So, I mean, this is close to my heart, this question, so this comes straight from me. Tell us about your first character.
Yes, I've had this discussion with people a lot. So if you've heard it, I apologize. My first character, first and foremost, I had to go for a gnome. If I hadn't have gone for a gnome, I honestly think Alice would have kicked my ass up and down the stairs.
That's true. Yeah, she would have. 100%.
Um, I knew I wanted it to be a female character because, you know, with anything this kind of stuff seems to be kind of very male orientated, male dominated, and I was like, nah, fuck it, let's do something a bit fun. Let's have a female character, have her a bit sprightly, a bit of a mischievous person, that kind of thing. And yeah, so that's how we got Solvi. And of course, because I love my Norse and Greek mythologies and stuff like that, went for Solvi Skadi, literally meaning Princess of the Mountains.
Which was the craziest premonition name, to be fair.
Right,
Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's how she came about. And Roper will tell you, from the amount of pictures I've sent him and the amount of writings I've sent him about different mechanical things and different machinations, like I designed a wheelchair that could be moved via springs and stuff like that.
And I'll say that was before Wizards put that in their book. Wizards now have a wheelchair in their book, but that was
really?
What you had designed was this like mechanical, not Professor X floaty chair, but like it was pretty future tech for like a fantasy game. And now they actually, like in D&D, there's actually a wheelchair item. So it's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you influenced it with that mini suit. Yeah, it's sick. I like that. Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I mean, like I've always loved making things. I've always loved the idea of like, how can I make something better, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why the Artificer as a class just kind of really rang out to me, because I was like, okay, I want this, intelligent character that can do some cool shit, but I also want a little bit of magic in there as well. So we go for a half caster kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Artificer super suits you too. Like if you watch your streams and stuff too, which you can see in chat, or you can see below you can follow the link below in the YouTube video. But like when you're watching your streams and stuff, there's always creativity to your approach. If you're playing Rust, even if you're doing combat, you're trying to find the creative way to get around it. Or if you're doing building, or if you're doing whatever. And if you play Minecraft, it's the same thing. You're getting more creative and trying to far surpass whatever limit is put in front of you by. Most people would have like, okay, I'm gonna build a house. This is the box that I will live in, and you're like, Taj Mahal seems attainable. So like that's your like, you reach further than anyone else would normally reach, and it works. Like I like that.
Yeah. I mean, like look at Ark when we were playing Ark.
Ark's a great example too. Yeah.
At the end of last year, like I literally built Santa's factory.
That's right. Yeah.
In the North Pole, essentially. So yeah, I do like that kind of stuff. I like kind of thinking, like you said, outside of the box.
Yeah, but that kind of thing suits you. Like when you went from Solvi, you joined up with EC kind of midway through that, right? So Emerald Collective. Like you kind of went into EC. So what was that transition like? Because you went to, what was your next character?
Well, that's the thing. So I think we were just under a year in. With your campaign with C1,
right?
When I joined,
how many more games a week can I play?
That was it. Like I had the bug. I wanted to play more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to play more. So when at the time it was Jean, who's a fantastic DM. He was coming off of like running Pathfinder and stuff, but he wanted to run like an intro 5e campaign kind of a thing, mini campaign. And I was like, right, okay, I'll put my name in the hat. He's like, yeah, come and join us. And that's where I got Magnar the Willbreaker. Now Magnar was an interesting one. He was a dwarf paladin. But anyone that knows me by now knows how terrible my rolls are. And we rolled for stats.
Historically.
Yeah. We rolled for stats. And I rolled so badly on all three sets of stats that they let you run that my character was basically fucking useless. Like, without a short of a really high roll, I could really do fuck all.
Do you know how many like single digit stats you had, or is it like just low end doubles?
I had 2 singles two in. I think I had one that was 11, one that was 12.
Oh, damn.
I think my highest stat was like 14 or 15.
That is crazy. I like these, but that again is you. You're very fair in D&D. Like, you stick to it. Those are your rolls. Got it. If that's what the dice say, I'm in. Done.
Yeah. And that's why whenever someone says about, oh, do you want to take the average HP or do you want to roll it? No, I'll roll it. I'll take the chance. If it's good, then fucking great. If it's not, then, you know, c'est la vie kind of thing. I mean, look at Solvi.
Yeah.
I ended up with the highest HP of anyone in our campaign because I got lucky and rolled pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
you also battled like our mod Nessie. He had the highest HP for a while, and you two sort of started racing with HP, and that was a close thing. And at the end, I think feats were being chosen just to like try and circumvent each other and stuff. It was just like this battle of the HP, and it still wasn't enough.
But the thing is as an artificer, I was always going to win because I could make magical things to make my health better.
That's it. Yeah. What is your process? Because you talked about like rolling HP and doing this kind of stuff. But with Solvi, for example, you built this on the back of like, okay, I want to be inspired by mythology and put something into this, but make it my own. What is your actual process for making a character? Because you do tend to follow that kind of vein, but without like hitting every trope along the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So with Solvi, like, I don't know, because Solvi was a different one as from all the rest of my characters that I've made since, because it was my first. I kind of I didn't really understand at the time the tropes of, oh no, you know, a rogue does this, a fighter does this, a barbarian does this kind of thing,
and all of them are skulking.
Yeah, exactly. Pouting. And I'd only just started getting into CR campaign as well under your recommendation. You were like, here, have a look at this. This might give you some guidelines and stuff. And I was like, okay. So, and again, they played very much to the stereotypes.
Yeah,
which is 100%.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So when it came to building Solvi, it was more a case of, I'm going to build her story the way that I want her and fit the class around her.
100%. Yeah.
So I knew that, you know, obviously she had a story that we created, we finished up and that kind of stuff.
It was a long one too. You put a lot of work into that, and you broke it into, like, you're the only person I know that writes narratively. So you write it like not a screenplay as such, but like kind of like you write like a book. Yeah. Like as opposed to like, oh, when they were 15 they did this. You're like, this is how she felt, this is what she experienced. And that's such a unique way of writing, which is kind of why I want to touch on this, because it's like, I don't know, it's a really cool and unique approach to this that you brought in from your personal life, right? Like how you, like the things you've done in your personal life, like filmmaking and stuff. You take this experience with you, right?
Well, I mean, I've always been a storyteller, always. Like, I've loved telling stories, I've loved reading stories and all that kind of stuff. So when I got the chance to create that for her, it was, as soon as you start writing, it just flows. And it was like, I'm very lucky in that I'm able to really step into a character. I know some people find that harder than others and stuff like that, but like, so there was times as Solvi, like I remember we were all sitting there, like we were obviously on camera to each other and stuff within Discord, and like either Solvi's like super mad or she was like really, really upset and crying and stuff like this. And like I had messages from people in Discord,
Ryan, like, are you okay?
Like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh no, I'm all good. This is all part of the character. And they were like, all right, calm down. So, I really try to step into a character. If I'm going to play a character, I really try to step into them, whether they be completely fucking balmy or whether they're, you know, calm, collected and stuff. I mean, take a Magiana, for instance. She's very, very reserved. However, I'm not
used to that say, like, that's a huge thing. I'm enjoying that experience because that's not how you usually play your characters either. She's very different to your usual circle. Yeah, it's a huge thing.
I'm usually very, very chaotic. Very chaotic.
Very, yeah. And I like that. Like,
oh yeah. Like there's a time and a place for it, and that's why I wanted to do a Magiana different, because she is so much different to everything else I've done as well.
100%, she is very different. Yeah.
But I think to be able to get into that mindset, that character, definitely helps me to create that separate character. And if I can get in that mindset, it means I can create her backstory or their backstory as a story, because that's how I felt, right?
With Solvi, she had like a 4-year run in a campaign. We had like a big arc that she went through. How, like, can you talk a little bit about sort of her beginnings and how much you saw of her development as you were going, or was it more a surprise? You let the story roll? Because it wasn't just Solvi either, right? So you were playing 2 characters technically. Yeah.
Well, because of Lazarus, you mean?
Laz, yeah.
Yeah. So Solvi's initial thing, I'm a fucker for the sad start trope. I am a sad one for that. I know. She had a very sad start in that she was a prankster. If you ever get to listen to any of the clips and stuff that we've done from that campaign, she was always pulling pranks. Put it this way, her deity was Garl Glittergold, which is he's the god of pranksters and stuff like that. So she was always pulling pranks and stuff, but she ended up pulling a prank when she was back at home that angered the local orcs or the orc tribe, and they ended up essentially
unrelated
wiping out
to
her
us.
whole family.
Just saying, unrelated to us. Not we didn't do this.
Yeah. Not Flying Orc.
No. They were walking orcs. Yeah, stationary orcs. Yeah. Sorry. So the prank went awry, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and it ended up with them basically wiping out my entire family. Or well, at least I thought my entire family. There was a bit more to that later on, but so she was left completely on her own. No house, no home, no nothing, essentially about to die, and got saved by Valentine and Valentine's little minion that she didn't know it was him, obviously, until later on. So good old Chapman. Good old Chapman, yeah. Who ended up being fucking useless at the end because he was never around, but
every NPC I had ended up being useless. So.
No, not every. Trevor was very good. Trevor was fucking handy.
What did we call his ship? The Parsec Pigeon?
Parsec
Is that
pigeon?
what it was? Yeah.
The Parsec Pigeon, yeah. So, yeah, she went from that to obviously joining in as part of the group. It's Solvi's whole, like, over the whole campaign, she was developing pretty quickly right at the beginning. For the first year, I'd say her development was kind of pretty quick. And then for that kind of middle third of the campaign, she didn't really do too much. There was instances and stuff, but she wasn't really a big factor in it. She was more kind of supporting and stuff. But then come to that last act, everyone just seemed to freaking explode, which was amazing. Everyone had a massive part of that end.
I think because the ending came as a bit of a surprise to all of us, because I came to a point with writing where I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of ready to go live with this, and I kind of want to do the Wandering Isles. I've been working on this for 2-3 years, and I've got it. Like, I'm done, and I kind of want to go into the process of finding my party and doing that kind of thing. So I just said, look, I said to both tables that I was running, look, we have about 8 to 10 weeks left. And let's make the most of it, because during that time I want to do other things as well, and I can't triple wield all of what I'm doing. So with that, everybody really turned it on, and the same goes for you and Solvi and stuff. Like, you had stepped back to give other people their moments, but like it suddenly all clicked. Like, all of your narratives and stuff linked up, and you just were rocket propulsion, I guess, propelled, because you just wanted to finish the story the way it deserved to be finished, and Solvi definitely had one that deserved to be finished. Like that, she sacrificed herself, she did crazy things for the party, she put her whole heart and soul into it. And like with the RP for you, like you tried to find it at the beginning, new to D&D, trying to figure out, do I do a feminine voice? Do I just do my voice? Do I figure it out? You were like, okay, I'm going with my voice, but I'll talk softer, I'll get into it, and that was it. Like, your heart became that. When you're
and then with Lazarus, like that was an unexpected thing. So for anyone watching that doesn't know, I took Battlesmith as my subclass, and as Battlesmith you get a defender, a steel defender. or Iron Defender as it used to be, I think. And originally it was a dog.
That's right, yeah.
However, I learned very quickly that Roper was going to punish me for the fact that he didn't have opposable thumbs. So, because he
first
kept falling
ladder,
off of fucking planks and stuff.
yeah, and like the first ladder you guys
reached,
it was the plank of the airship he fell off.
Yeah.
But then there was like at some point there was like a ladder or something you guys were trying to climb, and you guys were trying to figure it out, and you were like, you know what, why the fuck not?
Yeah. So he ended up being like 2 arms, 2 legs, and kind of humanoid shaped eventually. And it was something I'd mentioned to Roper like way back when I first got it, and I was like, would it be cool if I did like a Pinocchio type story with this? And just as time progressed and as things got more and more, it was like, okay, this is how I want to go with it. I was very lucky in that Roper allowed me to do something that isn't technically, as far as the books are concerned, allowed, in that I was allowed to put what's it called? Homuncular Servant.
An infusion, yeah, you used the infusion.
An infusion onto Lazarus, which meant he had the ability to think. He had the ability to talk, but we had to teach him words and stuff. Yeah, he had the ability to learn.
I don't think that was like a
manner.
Yeah. I actually think you're right. Teach him word, because there was a long time, we're about 6 months, where we could only sort of teach him 1 word at a time, because he was basically in his infancy of learning and knowledge. Yeah.
And yeah, so there was Rom teaching him. That would be an ecumenical manner.
That was definitely later, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That was absolutely.
One of my other favorite ones
that
was
would be an ecumenical matter.
Yeah, there you
that
go.
was the voice. Yeah,
that was
100%.
the voice. Blabor.
Blabor instead of Gregor. Yeah, you guys fucked up Gregor's name, and it like every time he was like, "Hi, Blabor."
Blabor. Which is another joke, obviously, that he told his name to everyone. He was like, "Oh, I'm secret and nobody knows my name. Hey, I'm Gregor.
Hi, I'm Gregor Eisenhorn. Really nice to meet you."
yeah. So
that became a meme so fast. Yeah,
it really did, and it deserved to be. But so to end the campaign, we had obviously our end battle and stuff like that, and Roper had given us all like he'd said at the beginning of the campaign, give me a list of some magical items you would like by the end. Like, this is something you can work towards attaining, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, no worries. And I'd looked, and there was nothing for Solvi that I could find, because there was no weapon that she was coveted. There was no armor she coveted. She could pretty much make everything for herself that she needed. There was nothing.
Right?
Yeah. She didn't really need too much. One of the options I had was what's it called? The mechanical. I can't think what it's called now.
The boat? Because if you say the boat, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Let's not go down the folding boat route. No, it's the egg-shaped dude that you can sit in.
I think we should tell that story though. The folding boat story.
Yeah, okay, we can say that in a minute.
Yeah.
But so even by the end of that, I didn't even want that. Like, I built the Colossus, which was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, we built a Warforged Colossus with parts from other broken like Warforged Colossus. It was like a big thing, yeah.
And between me and Avalon building it and then making it, arcane and working and stuff, that was amazing. I ended up having a kaiju fight, which was freaking awesome.
It was like this crazy thing, because you kind of were building towards it, but never really discussing it. You were like, you had some ideas, but if it didn't work, you were kind of malleable with it. Like, you were willing to bend your plan a lot. So,
well, that's the thing is, as a support class, I was there to kind of help most other people. So I was more, bendable as to where I went and what I did, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it got to the point of actually building this Colossus, it was like, right, I know what I need to have to do with this.
Right.
Which is an interesting kind of come around as far as lore goes, which we can talk about in a second. But
100%,
with Lazarus, so I didn't want any particular items, and I just said to Roper that I would basically like to make Lazarus real.
I'm a real boy.
Exactly. So we discussed about how to do it. Like, there's different ways you can, make them real and stuff like that. May even make them like Warforged and that kind of thing. And I was like, no, I want him to be real, like proper skin and bone real kind of thing.
Yeah. Like into because like it hadn't happened yet, but like the beginning and initial thing of what you were talking about sounded more like autognome, but they didn't exist at that time.
No.
And then it became like this thing of like beyond that, like how do I get him from dog human boy to, or dog robot boy to like human child or man or whatever he is in terms of age. But like we had many discussions off stream of like what gender would he be, like what like how would he perceive himself, like what intelligence should we give him, and like we had these really, like I think we talked more about that than probably any other aspect of that campaign. We really went in deep to like, because we spent years playing that, like how can I make that happen. Yeah, it was a really cool thing. You put a lot of heart into that.
Well, because Solvi was asexual, like it was never going to be a case of, you know, she gets married, has kids and all that kind of stuff, that she never had any interest in that whatsoever. She liked the flirtation and the stuff like that, but she was never really kind of interested in settling down in that sense. But she obviously grew to love Lazarus as a child, so that's why that came about.
And he in reverse, that became a very maternal relationship through it, but like it organically happened. We never talked about that. That was not something you raised to me as a desire. You just, to you it was, I get my robot dog, let's go and kick some ass at the beginning, because we didn't have an idea, and then the RP flowed naturally and stuff. And I mean, if you see Ryan in Emerald Collective or in his own stuff, or like on your own stream or even here and stuff, there's a lot of like dedication and emotion to whatever you do. Like that's easily at the table. You're the person that I would say, like, everyone's really good at RPing at our table, and it's not a slam on anybody or anything, but like easily you're the person that I'm like, if a moment is coming up, I know that you'll take it and you'll put 100% of yourself into it, whatever that means. If you have to be the good guy, you'll be the good guy. If you have to be the bad guy, you'll be the bad guy. If you have to swear a bloody storm at somebody and you get angry, you feel it from you. And that, again, I think that comes from your background, like of your personal life and stuff, with like acting in school and stuff like that. But it's like I really like that you commit so wholeheartedly to everything that you do in that way. That's something that's really commendable about your approach to D&D and just generally in life. It's a really cool thing.
Thank you.
There was a cool moment that we still reference in the Wandering Isles, and I'll remind you of it, and then you can feel free to tell the story. And I'm just going to say 2 words, and I know you're going to know what I'm talking about.
If it's fucking folding boat, I'm kicking you.
She nods.
She nods. I love that. Yeah.
That was a really dope experience.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm hoping we can get as an emoji at some point for the chat and stuff.
I want it, yeah. Or I would probably get they nod, because we say it all the time. It just became a part of our actual language. But I think you should tell the story. It's a really cool thing.
So Persephone, my daughter, she's never really been into D&D and stuff, but she wanted to give it a go. So we ended up doing a one-shot, which was Gregor's backstory.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was Gregor's backstory. Yeah.
It was
his origin story. We'll call it
his origin. His origin story. That's what it was. And so like I was obviously in listening and stuff, and I was kind of helping in the background. Now what Gregor didn't know at the time, or Gregor's player didn't know at the time, was that I was actually going to be playing the bad guy in the one shot. So, but my daughter was playing this Kenku. I think she was a Kenku rogue, if I remember rightly. And Seraph. She was basically, not Seraph, Seda.
Oh, Seda, that was it. Sorry, Seda, because it was Hades backwards, wasn't it? Right,
Hades backwards, that's right, yeah. She was playing Seda. So it's a She was a Kenku rogue, but she was mixing into the magical side. She was essentially what's his name? Eisenhorn's. Yeah, I think it's like Arcane Trickster or something.
She was
like
a ward, for like the Eisenhorn estate. She was technically a ward or a servant, but like she was learning from it and growing, and she had been brought in because she was protected by them. They found her when she was weak, and they helped bring her back. Yeah,
that's it.
The baby bird story, oddly enough. Yeah.
And because we she was nervous to play and stuff at the time. She was obviously a good bit younger at this point. She didn't want to talk too much, but she wanted to play and she wanted to do stuff and that. So
giving her a non-lingual character made sense, like something that didn't have to talk. Yeah,
exactly. And then she came in, and whenever it came up that she had to do something or say something, it would just be she nods, and that's all she would say. It's like the Kenku nods, like. and it became such a thing, and especially for Kev, who played Gregor later on, like he would always say she nods as well, and it just carried on all the way
just carried
through.
on, and now I find myself saying it inadvertently almost, but I always feel the smile, like I have to suppress the smile because it brings me straight back every single time. I'm like, yeah, they nod, she nods, he nods, whatever. I want to get a they nod emote, like, because and like people who've seen this interview now will know exactly why, because it's just such an ingrained part of like our origins of D&D, and I love that. Like
just a Kenku's face and then they nod.
They nod.
Yeah, that'd be cool, something like that. But yeah, so that's where that comes from. So if you ever hear us in chat or in the game, especially me, Roper, and Busy, because obviously we were part of the first campaign, if we turn around and say like she nods or they nod, it's usually a reference to that.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Little smuggish Kenku would be nice.
Yeah,
she was up. She had like an assassin's blade and everything, and I think if I remember correctly, Bane got that, so she got double nat 20 at some point during, or like no, she got 2 nat 20s during it, which was a lot at the time for us as well because it was a short run. But I remember that Bane, the rogue in that, I think actually got her blade, and I don't know if I ever explained that to anybody, but the blade that he had, the assassin's blade that he had, was hers. That was like,
but you never told us that.
I completely forgot. Yeah, like that was hers through Origin, the one that he eventually got his hands on. I can't remember how he did it, but it was hers.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, because he had her assassin's dagger. I think Gregor found it, which I thought was a very serendipitous thing, but I can't remember how it happened. But I tied it together in my head anyway. Anyway, it's just
you might need to let Shane know that.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him about it. Yeah. With that in mind, though, like crossing into actually the Wandering Isles, how did you approach character advancement, development, creation now that you're more seasoned at D&D? Obviously, Solvi was like your first branch in. You've done a lot of stuff with EC, but this is your second campaign with me. So how was it making a new character when being scrutinized by me at every turn and hurdle? Like, what was the process like for you now?
Well, I mean, the first thing was, like, I'd been dying to play this race for God knows how long.
Oh, that's right. We still haven't discussed that yet. Yeah, that's not going to find out today.
I'm sure Rory probably does know, but just in case, we'll say elf variant.
Elf
but
something.
Elf something. I wanted to play this so bad, and I was like, okay, that's gonna be my class or my race for the game. As for classes, now keep in mind for anyone watching that this was before you told us that like not magical users and we'll say non-standard races were kind of
magic setting.
Not frowned upon, but it's a little bit non-magic setting kind of thing. So before we even knew that, I was like, I've never actually dedicated a proper rogue. I've played rogue classes and stuff in little bits here and there, but I've never had a dedicated rogue character.
And you've often seen it played. I mean, most of the one-shots we did and stuff like that, like even including the one with your daughter, as you mentioned, there was always a rogue around. But yeah, like you've been rogue adjacent, I guess, for a lot of this,
And I've done rogue characters, like my kobold character called Ew. He's a swashbuckling rogue and stuff like that. So I've dallied into rogue, but I've never done it properly. So I was like, and I love the way Shane did it. Shane's character was amazing, and I was like, I want to do a rogue this time. Let's do a rogue.
How did I not get Shane Bane as the tie-in? He was just going close to his name. Yeah. How did I not get that? Like,
just so he didn't forget it. That's all it was. That's all it was. It was so he didn't forget his name. And then so we did that, and then obviously we selected everyone else and stuff that came and joined us, and there was 3 of us that was all looking at rogue.
That was a surprise for you guys because I didn't tell anybody what you were playing. It was only like 2 weeks before, I think, when I was like, we're kind of okay, you guys can discuss you guys need to talk, because like I didn't want to tell anybody what anyone else was playing, but there was a discussion that had to be had.
So it's like, oh shit, okay. So one person said, okay, look, I'm actually interested in this other class as well, so I'll do that instead. And then obviously it ended up with me and Kian having our rogues and stuff.
Dynamically different rogues, though. Like the same way you were talking about, you played the swashbuckler, but that's a totally different experience than Amidriana, right?
Yeah, like that's the thing is like, we've never gone into details. Like we don't know each other's stories. We have no idea of that kind of stuff. But we gave
That's
the basics of yeah, keep it that way. We went through the basics of like, okay, well, my rogue is more leaning towards kind of maybe assassin or, you know, thief or something. We never obviously gave those terms, but just that, you know, mine's going to be better at maybe heisting and mine's going to be better at this kind of thing. We never said exact words, so we don't know exactly what each other's subclasses are. Where I was like, well, mine's kind of more stand back and tell you guys what to do. So we kind of worked out without actually telling each other which subclasses we were kind of leaning into.
I'm not convinced that everybody knows. I'm convinced that there's a lot of course I know. Like, I'm convinced that there's a lot of that, but I think that there's a discussion that's happening where, like, I'm just seeing it passively, but I'm getting the vibe that some people think that a Madriana is something else, or like Hatsu is something else, and whatever, and that's becoming the canon. So it's like, it's really weird that, like, your story is not changing, who you are is not changing, but in everybody else's head, it is. It's becoming this, oh yeah, this is definitely what this is, but it's like moving in the wrong direction, which is really interesting. So I'm really like, because you're not doing anything to dissuade that, but you're also not doing anything to like promote it. So it's this really cool thing that's just happening with every session you play. There's like, what the fuck is she? What is this? What is happening? What is she actually this? Because last session you kind of looked like an assassin rogue. Like, you had you had the trademarks of an assassin.
That's not to say that I'm not, of course.
Absolutely, but like the session before that, you would have looked more like the one with Eos, where you did this with the rapier and the blade. That looks like swashbuckler. So you're like, okay, that's like, all right, so there's the swashbuckler in her. But it's like, oh wait, but then there's another one where she's like, you know, kind of not a thief as such, but there are things where she's sleuthing on the corridors, so she falls into that category of thief. And then you're like, what the fuck is she? Because like, it becomes this thing again, but you're not doing anything to not play what you're supposed to play. You're completely within your wheelhouse and like sort of spectrum of what she is. But it's like, yeah, it's really interesting that you make it very hard to understand what exactly she is. So I think that some people may see it and think, oh yeah, obviously she's, but like, I'm not sure that everybody knows. I don't think it's that clear.
The other thing I think that makes that more difficult, maybe for the viewers as well, is that Roper actually let us have a feat.
I did. Level 1 feat. Yeah.
A level 1 feat. So
I need to put that list on the website of what we actually did, because we've changed some stuff to the campaign.
Yeah. So my level 1 feat might skew what you would necessarily expect from what she can do. But on that basis, still, it's a case of, if you don't know what she's doing, then I'm playing it right.
Right. You're not supposed to know. She's meant to be ambiguity, the character, right? So, yeah, I like that, though.
If you ever feel like you've caught her toe, then she's not doing what she should be.
100%. Like, and like, more than that, like, for a Madriana, right? Because she has, like, this whole backstory of, how do I want to explain this? So she has significant events that she has been through, and she has gone through a complex background of things that you'll learn throughout the campaign, and probably not soon, because it is a slow drip as we go. And I like that, the way this has been happening. But for a Madriana, how do you get into the mindset of playing her? Because she's not like a broken, lost soul, but like, she's had negative times. And like, the last session you did this very subtle thing of like, she shudders at the words of that, and like, that's all you said, but that's so telling of like a Madriana. That makes me think, I'm like, oh, what happened? What is she? Why does that make her shudder? You know? And like,
that's what I was trying to say earlier as well with about Solvi, was that it wasn't necessarily what she did or what she said, but I would always try to add something in to let you know that this is the feeling of my character right now, so that people can feel that within it as well. So it's like you said, it's like, wait, what? Why has that left her cold? Or like,
why? Yeah, I ask a lot why.
Yeah. When Hatsu had said that not very, very lovely thing about her, and it's like, that literally left her stunned, because
so many memes from Shaq Fu about that.
Yeah, I know, right? We need to ship those two, apparently.
100%, yeah.
Screw trying to mix them two names together, though. Hatsu and a Madriana. Hatsuana? No.
A Matru? Like, I don't know. That's hard, man.
Yeah,
That's a hard name to ship. Yeah.
That is a hard name to ship. I'm sure someone will come up with a good one though. Amadri Hatsu. But yeah, so even if my characters aren't doing anything particular right then, I'll try to add what may be happening emotionally, physically to her, so that people can feel that.
So for people who maybe don't know about RP and roleplay and stuff, because I know I have people in chat that are often talking about they're new to D&D and they're enjoying this easier entrance and stuff. What is your approach to roleplay? Because fundamentally all of your characters have, you know, everybody in D&D, you build this, you have a bond and a flaw and an ideal, and you build your character around these kind of sentiments and stuff. But what, like, we've already discussed how you kind of write your character and that thought flow, but like, how do you approach RP or roleplay when it comes to being that character?
The very first thing I would say to anyone that's looking to do RP and to get into that kind of stuff, first thing, and the only real thing that truly matters, is do what makes you comfortable. And what I mean by that is if it's more comfortable for you to say very little as your character, then you say that. And that will build over time when you get that connection with the other players, when you get that connection with the people. Don't be afraid. Like, I've done stupid stuff, like properly stupid stuff as my characters and stuff. And I think the only way you can do it is to play it truthfully, if you know what I mean. So if you get into that character, you think of that mindset. So we talk about, you know, okay, this is the voice for this character. So like with Magnar, I'd sit there and I'd be like getting ready for the session. I'd be like, oh, Magnar, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, that builds the voice. And then he gets stocky. Then, you know, he's a little dwarf, so he's a little, you know. So you build that physical into it and stuff. And once you start getting comfortable with yourself to be able to just let go and actually just do it.
Yes.
Who gives a monkeys who's laughing at you, who's with you? Because whether they're laughing at you, whether they're with you, whether they're crying with you, whether they're getting angry with you, they're still with you. And it's because you're doing that, right? So if you can provide that to people outside that are viewing in, then it gives hope that anyone can do it, right? Because I'm just an ordinary idiot, the same as everyone else. Like, yeah, I did a year in college for theatre performance, but that's a completely different style of thing to this. This is improv, craziness, and getting within a character. So it, like, anyone can do it. You just got to give yourself the space and the comfortability to do it, basically.
I can add to that and give examples. So you mentioned, for example, if your character's quiet and doesn't talk, if you watch Rory at the moment, the way he's playing Eos, she's coming out of her shell, but she's quiet. But Rory is going through his emotional journey, and you can see it on his face. So, for example, last week, Dash got drunk and kept talking over people, but that was Dash in character. That's not Kian talking over people. That's Dash in character. He's intentionally doing this. And Rory, not frustrated, Eos frustrated, was just like, because she really wanted to hear what Slate had to say, and I could see it in him, but I also know Rory. That was Eos. That wasn't like that wasn't Rory being frustrated. He's not mad at Kian. They're best friends. Like, they're great friends. So like, I don't know. I don't want to out him as best friends. I don't know, because he may not want that association with Kian, right? I'm just kidding. But so if you have that dynamic, you can be a quiet character and still express it visually. Like watching with cameras on a digital D&D, because we're in the digital age. This is part of it. Cameras make a huge difference, and the same thing can be said for Amidriana. But you're really good at stepping back when you need to, letting people talk, letting them say their shit, because your character intentionally does that, and you're living that. But if you're playing a character that's rambunctious, like Solvi was quiet and laid back, but I've seen you with EC and stuff. Like, you play these characters who are rambunctious. You step forward, you interrupt people, you get into it. You're living the character. And these are just examples of how you can change that based on how comfortable you are as a player as well. Like, that's part of it. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, if you really get into the mindset of that character, however you do it, through voice, through physicality, through thinking of memories that they would have, that kind of thing. If you really get into that character, you can act as that character. and nothing will seem out of place, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, like with Rory, like Eos, like Dash, shut up. You know, you could see, you could feel it, you could see it, but you know, at the end of the day, that's not Rory, that's Eos, and
Yeah.
that was that thing of, again, when I had moments with Solvi and stuff, people messaging me, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Solvi is not good. No,
Yeah.
Solvi is very not good, but I am great. Thank you.
I mean,
but it's
one of
like you're
those
going through
key ones.
a cathartic experience, but Solvi's going through hell. Like it's like a very different, like you guys are on opposite sides of that coin, like at the same time. It's such a cool thing to go through. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's like, would take, for instance, one of potentially 2 or 3 kind of really big moments for Solvi was where she basically told her own god to fuck off. She
That was the moment you were in the Wandering Isles. That was the moment that I invited you. I was like, that's it. Like, yeah, that's it.
Like, and that was fairly early on. That was in our first act.
First act, yeah.
That was in
That was the end of our first act.
I remember it all. Yeah, that was the end of the first act, because we were in Omu. It was the only place where the gods could actually speak to us.
You were in Mount
basically
Celestia, technically, but yeah, it was masked as a mission to Omu. You were going to Omu. You were
Yeah.
technically following like one of the D&D campaigns. You were supposed to go and fight a Sararak, and that was supposed to be a whole thing, but it ended up being one of your BBEGs, and like this whole thing breaks out of proportion, and it turns out you're actually in Celestia, and they are fucking with like the gods, and you now get the context of the campaign. That was a big thing. Yeah. And you got to see your god. Yeah. Garl Glittergold, Mr. Glittergold himself.
Yeah. And like, all of our gods had been supportive of our characters. They really had. But
some
in that moment,
I wouldn't say all.
Some are not necessarily good gods either.
No.
But Solvi's frustration with the gods not acting enough on things just really got her wound up so much that she ended up, like I said, she threw her god-given gift, her weapon, and threw it back at her god and said, like, well, fuck off then. Like, I don't need you if you're not going to be there to help us when we need it.
I wouldn't mind, but it was like Bahamut who came to soothe you. It wasn't even Garl. He didn't know what to say. So like the Platinum Dragon in his humanoid form, I'm not going to mention any names for spoilers, but he came to talk to you. And that was like a moment, because he was the god for our cleric. And that was the representative moment of those crossing paths. And that was a really cool thing. But you basically throwing up the middle finger and throwing your weapon down and saying, I can do this on my fucking own, or I won't do this at all, like, back the fuck up. Like, that was a really cool moment, because Solvi loved Garl. Like, she has a real love for Garl. Her whole persona is based on the trickery, and he's trickster domain. That's his thing. Like, and so
she loved
like
making pranks just like he did.
Yeah, like they shared a lot, and there was a very, I don't want to say familial thing, but there was something there that was just like, it felt like she was a part of that family, and for her to do that was because he really fucked up, and like he knew that and she knew that. That was a really cool moment. Yeah,
in that sense, like, the way that Solvi had it told to her through age and through time and parents and grandparents, all that kind of stuff, was they were direct descendants of Garl Glittergold. Like, they were his descendants. So he very much was the patriarchy that she was always used to, kind of thing. And when he wasn't able to help, that was the second time that her patriarchy hadn't helped her, because obviously her dad had passed away because of what she had done, and then he did that. So it was kind of that, well, why do I fucking need you guys, because you haven't done anything to help me, kind of thing.
100%.
As it worked out, obviously he was doing a lot, but you know, we had to get to the point of finding that out.
But you didn't know, and he couldn't say. So
yeah, exactly, because if you tell someone the end, the end changes.
Yeah. But, we've all seen Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Endgame. Yeah.
It was an interesting moment. Obviously, she got over it. She chilled out. She got her weapon back and stuff like that. Yeah. And they had a pretty good relationship thereafter, because it was like, okay, now we know where each other stands, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like 100%. And it was like a really cool thing, because not only are you talking like her putting her foot down and creating a line in the sand, but that's the first time Solvi in her life drew a line for herself, and I like that moment for her, because that wasn't really expressed or something that was done. It was actually something I picked up on reflecting years after this campaign, like after that moment of the campaign anyway. But it was just something I was like, that's the first time she stood up for herself. Like, not that she ever didn't have to, like, it's just that she was quite passive until that moment, but she was like, I've had a fucking enough, and that's a huge thing.
She was going along with the group, like she was just basically tagging along the whole time, and then that was the first time she was really like,
wait a minute,
no.
Yeah, like, and that was nice. I like that. I know Madriana hasn't had much airtime in terms of, like, say, Solvi, who had a 4-year campaign, and obviously
no airtime,
like,
technically.
Yeah. A couple seconds here or there. But do you have like a favorite moment so far for Madriana or anything?
Oh, I do have a couple. First one, and the first one that instantly popped to mind when you said that, was her just falling off the balcony.
I love that.
Just that leap of just letting the wind go through the hair as she falls and plummets, and then the wings out. That was a really cool moment.
One day an aspiration is to do a comic book of like some of the stuff we do, or like, you know, background stuff or whatever, tell some stories we haven't told. But I want to see that. I have the visual in my head. You described it so like effervescently, I suppose. Like there was just so much color and emotion in what you were saying that it was you could feel the ride. I love that. Yeah.
So that was definitely one moment. Strangely enough, like the kind of little moments that you don't really think about, but it's the things that kind of she would enjoy the most because she hasn't had it. It's things like walking arm in arm with Eos.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Just these like little, like, nothing moments, but moments that they're not really part of her life. So to have these kind of little moments is kind of like, you know, kind of more purposeful.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And like, I like those moments because they paint a bigger picture that a Madriana is not just one shade of gray or something, you know, like there's different things that she does appreciate and things that she doesn't, and you're creating these boundaries in a subtle way with characters like Eos, who's also going through the same journey just from a different perspective. And it's really, really cool to see that. Like you were all walking a crazy similar path. Like it's really cool because none of your stories are the same. Like we have two classes that are the same and feel nothing alike, and that's it. Like, but the way you guys are going through your journey, you all met up on a weird kind of same vibe area. You're going through the same thing, and this is a really interesting thing.
Now, just to add a spanner to the works, though, with that, what I said about the arm and arm, who's to say that that's the real Madriana, though? Absolutely. Who's to say that that's not an act?
Same can be said for so many people in the party.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And like the sword through that guy last night, maybe that's the real Madriana. There was, obviously I'm not going to pinpoint exactly what it was, but there was something that was said by one of the players last night in our post-game chat.
Okay. Beyond the House live on YouTube.
That's it, that one.
Live on Twitch, posted on YouTube. Sorry, go ahead.
Nice. There was something that was said by one of them that actually is directly the same as a Madriana.
I know what you're talking about.
But I never said, never changed, nothing.
I picked up on that too. I kept my mouth shut.
And I was like, interesting. Okay. So yeah, there's still plenty to come.
Before jumping into, excuse me, sorry, it's been a long day. Before jumping into, we have some people in chat who have asked some questions, and then we'll do a little rady poo. I have a few basic ones for you, but one of the big ones that I want to ask you, and if you need a moment, please take it. But something that I see come up a lot in formats like when people talk to you through private groups or on your stream and chat, because you wear the wizard hat and stuff, people come to you with D&D stuff, you attract that, you magnetize that. And I love that vibe, like it really suits you. But a question I see a lot is like, how do I start this? Or like I've never played before, or I don't know if I'd be any good at it and stuff like that. So what advice would you give to like a new D&D player who's maybe just starting out, or maybe struggling with the complexities of the game, or even afraid to take that leap into a game, even if it's with unknown players or people they don't really know too much, you know?
First thing I would say, like if someone was in my chat asking that question, the first thing I would do is send them the links for Emerald Collective and for Flying Orc. Come and talk to us.
100%.
Absolutely, come and talk to us. We will talk to you every day, all day about D&D. One of us is always on hand. Like, you want to get involved? You want to start playing? Absolutely. I guess it's the same with anything, really. Get in it. If you get in it, you like the amount I've learned from playing is more than I could have ever learned from sitting there reading the books on the website. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got a ton of books over there as well, the same as I can see behind you. You've got yours. As like, I could sit there reading them books day in, day out, but it won't stick until you start playing it and using it, right? So get involved. Don't be scared. Yes, it's terrifying to say to someone, please, can I play? Can I come in and join you? Come on, let's go. You know, even if we have to run an evening session of beginners, you know, it could be beginners, but it could also be veterans. The veterans could be helping the beginners as well.
100%.
You know, come in.
There's like
involved.
a misconception on that note. There is a misconception that people who are veterans will have no patience for beginners. It's the opposite. It is definitely the opposite. Veterans love playing with beginners because it gets to slow down a little bit and you get to experience it again with fresh eyes. It's totally a thing. Like, I've never met anyone who's like, no, don't let any beginners be at this table. That's not a thing. Maybe on streamers, but like,
there is that. No, but like, in fairness, there is definitely gatekeepers. Let's be honest. There is those DMs, there is those players that won't do that. However, the communities that we've created over these two different groups that I'm so lucky to be a part of, and obviously my own stuff when I get people coming and talking to me about D&D, is that we're not those people. We're the sorts of people that are like, come in, what do you want to build? Let's build you a character, let's show you how that would work, you know?
And Rory will go make 50 versions of your character art.
Exactly.
Because he's crazy like that. Yeah.
So get involved, get stuck in, come and ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask the questions is the main thing. I was very lucky that when I did GameCon in Bantry last month, so it was a gaming convention within Bantry in the West Cork, and I'd finished up my game, and I had literally people standing around the table watching our game as we were playing and stuff. I had people coming up saying, when are you running your next session? Now, at the time, I was only running one session. I couldn't stay for the afternoon to run a second one, but I was like, well, it's cool that people would want to play, kind of thing. So I was like, look, so played my session, and I'm packing away, and this young girl come up to me. She couldn't have been more than 12 or something, and she was like, can I ask you some questions? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, what's up? And she was like, so me and my friends, we've been kind of, dallying with D&D and stuff like that, but I'm looking to do DMing. Like, how would you give me any pointers, kind of thing? And I must have sat there for a good, 15, 20 minutes talking to this young girl. And she was like, when it got to the end of it, she was like, awesome. And I was like, but the biggest thing, and she was like, right. And I was like, even though you're the DM, make sure you have fucking fun. Like, didn't swear. Make sure you have fun. Like,
listen here, you little bitch. Make sure you have a good time. Just like fucking.
I'm nicer in person.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, I was like, make sure you have fun.
100%.
I said, because if you're having fun around the table, it doesn't matter what stupid crap you get up to. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have a good time, right?
That was the hardest thing to overcome for me as a DM. And this is something we can talk about when my interview comes up, but it's just something I'll touch off because I think you have probably some points maybe to add to it. But when I was learning to be a DM, I was so strict on the rules because I was like, I need to learn these rules. So we have to play rules as written. And then we eventually learned about rules as intended. So I was like, okay, rules as intended. And then the most fun I think we ever had in any of the campaigns is sort of about 1.5 years, 2 years in, when I realized rule of cool exists for a reason. Like, we should have a good time. If we can make a rule bend to fit what we just want to do and make a really fucking dope moment happen, those are the moments I remember the best. Like just the little things.
Some of the crazy shit that happened and the deaths and stuff like that should never have worked that way. Yeah,
like crazy things. And like, like even with like sort of the ideas for homebrew feats and ideas and stuff that it goes, because it spans out further than rule of cool. Like if you get too stuck in just the rules of the game and playing as it should be, as it needs to be, you're actually defeating the purpose of D&D. It'll tell you in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it'll tell you in the Player's Handbook. This is just a loose guideline. That's all D&D is. And that's why the Wandering Isles is super, super homebrew, because we're playing on the core structure of D&D 5e, because that's the game that we love very much. We have so much heart and passion for D&D, love Wizards of the Coast and everything they're doing. And they're really trying their best. There was a bit of a blip, but they pulled it back and we're good. We're on good terms again. But
and they're back to making good films as well.
Luckily. Yeah, they're working on it. Yeah, they're definitely working on it. But it's like this really cool thing when you finally let go of being such a stickler for this is how it needs to be because it's on paper. It's not what D&D is. D&D is a group of friends having a fucking great time. And I quote it all the time because it's one of my favorite quotes, but Matthew Mercer said in one of those interviews, he was like, the best description for D&D that he can think of at the time was like, it's like having a meal with your friends. The DM sets the tables, but it's the players who bring the food. And I think about that all the time. That sits with me all the time. And that changed my perspective on DMing. So like it really blew my mind open because I'm like, yeah, that's right. That is what's happening. If I'm making the meal and I'm prepping everything and I'm trying to run the game and I'm trying to do this and that and the other, I'm not giving them the room they need to flourish and to grow. And now because of that, things like the Wandering Isles, it's mostly the players leading the ship. I have very little that I need to do on a weekly basis because I get to come in and watch my friends have a great time and have a great time with them. And that's a much better and enjoyable experience. So,
but like, there's also to take from that though, that yes, you were a stickler for the rules at the beginning, but that's because as much as we were learning, you were learning, and like you weren't just learning for what you needed to do. You were trying to learn what we could do as well, so that you could balance that. So sticking to the rules when you first start kind of makes sense. The
just
only
don't
reason
get stuck on it. That's the difference.
Yeah, don't get stuck on it, and feel free to change the things that you want to change when you want to change them. Like when I started my campaign. Obviously, luckily enough, I'd been into D&D for a good number of years by then and had you as my DM. I'd had Joan, I'd had Dave. So real world-class DMs as far as I'm concerned. So I was able to sit back and go, well, actually, these are aspects of the game that I don't like, so I'm going to change this. So like one of my kind of most controversial ones that I did was that I have the stat block for my creatures, right?
Of course.
And I know what their HP is, but if they reach that HP, I won't necessarily stop the fight there.
Give them a bit more of it, yeah.
Like, if they've had it too easy, I might give them a bit more of a run for their money. Or they might have a fight where it's stupidly easy, do you know? Because for me, it's more about telling the story than it is about whether we roll the dice.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of leads me more into wanting to play stuff like Candela as well, because it's more about the RP and the storytelling of the characters rather than it's about the dice. The dice just give you those particular moments where you need a decision of yes or no kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had it with fights with my players where it's like they're all on like low HP. It's like, yeah, but the boss is still going because you haven't had quite enough yet. Because I want them to necessarily... Now, that's never to say that I want to punish players, because I've never done that, and I never would do that. If it's a case of, I feel I need to punish your characters because of you as a person, then you're just not on my table. Do you know, that way? So I've never had to do that, and I've been very thankful and very lucky that I've never had to do that either. But it's a case of, like, I want them to have that hero's win. And if having that hero's win means that you're at 1 HP and you finally finish that boss, hell yeah, let's do it.
My counterpoint to that, so I play the other way because I'm used to video games, right? So like I grew up with, I went from Mario to Metal Gear to like all these things. And if you don't have a HP bar that falls, it becomes a really intense thing. And now you're creating, what you're doing is creating that element of like, okay, but we're also going to make this cinematic and fun, and like when the right time comes, the right time comes. I won't keep this going if my party's about to TPK. I won't just give them immortal enemies. I get that. But I go the other way. I have a HP bar and I'm super strict on it. I don't sway from that at all. And what that has led to is crazy moments like last week. you hit the dude in the back of the leg. He had 1 HP, and he was running with 1 HP, and like he was, we'll call it hobbling with 1 HP. I mean, he was hobbling 80 feet around with 1 HP.
Yeah.
But that creates a weird tension because I'm able to see it, and my energy goes, oh shit. He's like 1 HP. What the fuck is going to happen? Are they going to blow his brains out, or is he going to fall on the ground, or like, you know, whatever? And it creates this weird thing for me. So I like games of both. Does that make sense? For me, I want to play where the HP bar goes down and the players earn their kill, and then I like the how do you want to do this mentality. I like the give the whoever did it that moment, and I would be like the same as with the boss fights at the beginning of the session, like where they do it in Twitch and the thing. If you don't cut it off at the time, you're being unfair to one or the other, right? Because people are betting on it, so either they bet yes or no. But if I take someone's how do you want to do this moment away from them because I wanted to give the fight extra juice, I feel like I'm taking from them because you all put the effort in. For me it's like a thing, but I get what you're saying 100%.
If I do that though, I always do give myself a hard cutoff. So
where your moment is.
Let's say the enemy has 70 hit points, but they hit that 70 hit points in the first round, like because of whatever luck.
I don't play 70 hit point characters, so I guess that doesn't happen to me.
But you know what I mean? Like if they hit that in the first round, that's because I fucked up and I haven't balanced that fight right. So I'll say, okay, it has an extra 100. Once you hit that 100, then that's the death. Like I do have a hard
leeway
point.
Yeah,
it's just like that. I don't think it's satisfying to build up this big moment where you're about to have this big battle and it's like, oh shit, he died in 2 rounds. Like it
100%,
kind of sucks for
100%.
the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will, and not necessarily buff them, but I will adjust it. Obviously, you know, every DM does it. I don't care what anyone says. You do it at some point or another in your DM career. But I always do have a hard finish because, like you said, I don't want to. I'm not giving it to one of my players more than I'm giving to the other or anything like that. I want them to have that decided for them by their dice rolls, but it just won't be over as quick.
Right.
So maybe I didn't quite explain that as well as I.
I get what you're saying. I think it's my fear because I over prepare. But like for everything I do with all of this stuff, I way over prepare. That's why the stream quality looks the way it does, because I sat there for hours doing things to try and get it to look this way, right? But I do the same thing in D&D.
Which looks perfect.
Thank you so much. But like that's what I mean. It's just I put that effort in, so my prep goes into that too. I'm like micromanaging my mob's health, and I'm like, okay, is this a little too high? Is this too low? How many ads are there? Like I go way overboard on the other side to make sure that fight goes. But the resulting action of that is I get super close to TPKs and I have no control over that because what's on the board is on the board. I'm not suddenly going to take things off the board. The way the dice roll, the way the dice roll. I never roll better in my life than when I'm against my players in combat. Like I don't play against my players ever, but
trust me, I know that.
Yeah. But like I don't play against my players at all. But when I'm rolling for combat, it becomes that kind of thing, right? Because it's like I'm rolling as your opponent. I roll PvP, and I'm like,
essentially,
it's technically PvP, and I hate it because I love my friends and I don't want to hurt them. But at the same time, I'm going to cleave you in half. That's how it works.
But I've had that discussion with many DMs over the years that I've played in their games. Like, if it makes sense that you're going to kill my character, don't ever be scared to. Don't ever be scared to. Like, we had that at the front line. If I'm stood at the front line and there's still 10 people to have their turn and I'm on 2 HP, you're gonna fucking murder me. Like, go for it. Like, that's part of the game. Like, never be scared of that. I remember at one point, Magnar, I had like 2 ogres and like a couple of hobgoblins and stuff, like all around him. And I deliberately put myself in a position to protect our party's rogue at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is my lot. That's fine. And I remember Jean messaging me like 10 minutes before the end of the fight saying like, what do you want me to do about this? And I was like, if it's needed, if it's what would happen, then fucking do it. Do it. And he was like, okay, no problem. And then in the end, it didn't end up happening that way. I got kind of a bit lucky with a couple of different situations that happened. But it was a case of, look, if it makes sense narratively that you're going to murder my character, then absolutely do it. We had the moment with Solvi Shaw with the Lord of Blades. And it was like, we had that conversation. and I said to them, like, you know, take me instead of everyone else that you're trying to kill, and let them all free. And I guess because I was a bigger fish,
I was like, "Are you sure? Because this is permanent. Like this is
like, you understand what this means."
Yeah,
right?
this isn't like
yes,
Revivify 20 minutes from now. Like this decision is a big deal.
Yeah,
and you were like, "I get it," and I was like, "Okay." And we had a very quiet time after that because that was a very heavy session. Yeah. Not because we're upset with each other, just that was a huge impact. Yeah.
And it was only because I rolled that nat 20 for the persuasion for them to let everyone else go and to take me.
Yeah.
Because Nabonidus was still trying to, you know, entice the Lord of Blades into fighting him and stuff. And it was only because because I'd rolled that nat 20 against Israfil to convince him, let them go and take me instead.
Yeah.
That it happened that way, do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there was
100%.
probably more on it, your side of the border, but like from our perspective, that was what congressed into what happened at that session. But like I said, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean 100%. And it's like, I don't know, it's a really beautiful thing because getting to play games with you and go through those experiences with you is like, that is one of the easier things with you, because as I said at the very beginning of this interview, you're very much so where the dice falls, the dice falls. Like if I get myself into this situation, or if my HP rolls this way, that's fine because I chose to let the dice lead me, and that's a really cool thing. Yeah. You may start hearing music through our chat because I'm going to start getting audience questions through. So you might have gotten the funky music through. Let's hope this works, and let's hope it's louder. Let me know, chat, if it's not. There's one thing I actually do want to say very quickly because Mr. Ryan is definitely too proud to bring this up. I'm going to post a link to chat. Mr. Rhino is currently working with the awesome people at Dakota Irish. And I've got dice on my shelf because of it. They arrived the other day and some stuff, which is super cool. You get a discount for Dakota Irish. It's a really cool thing, and it also supports Mr. Rhino himself. So I'm going to say it. I'm putting it in chat. The link is there to Rhino's Instagram where he has the deal and stuff, and it's well worth it. Dakota Irish are great. They're great dice makers and stuff like that, and Mr. Rhino is awesome. So anything we can do to support him too, always.
I appreciate that.
Always. Absolutely. All right, let's see if we can get some Q&A stuff. Let's hope this works. Please.
Solid 10 DND asked, question, what's your favorite homebrew item one of your characters has ever possessed?
Okay. Did you catch that? That was very quiet. I'll try and fix that in the meantime. But yeah, so what was your favorite homebrew item that your character ever possessed?
Can I pick one that I created? Is that cheeky?
No, definitely. You created like more homebrew shit for my campaigns than anyone else. What is this? I've got Harley on my back.
So there's like we said about the wheelchair that Solvi had created for a paralyzed character, and stuff like that. But there is one that I actually created for my own campaign, which I was very happy with. It's a stupid thing because it essentially means nothing to anything really, but I liked it. So I had what I called a herbo creationist wizard. So essentially a wizard class, but they were more towards the nature side of magics and stuff. So they still had the power and the arcane dealings to do with a wizard, but they preferred the natural side of life. So my wizard, who is called Podrick Puster, I created this item. You know, like I did this with the intros the last time. You know, everyone likes. I like my alliteration. I like, you know, words following each other. You know, we said about, you know, Peter Parker.
We got that, yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. So so this item I created for my party. It was called Podrick Puster's Pot of Perpetual Propagation.
Fuck's sake.
Right.
Okay.
So once a plant is planted within this handy-sized pot, it keeps your plant happy and well cared for. As long as it is taken out to absorb the sun at least once a day, it will continue to grow the extract of whatever is planted. For 7 uninterrupted days of sunlight exposure, you gain a number equal to 1d4 of the extract.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, I get it. I definitely get it. That makes sense.
And the thing was when they received this as a reward, they were like, what the fuck is this? Like, how is this going to help us, kind of thing? But what they didn't realize, because they didn't check, was that the lemon tree that they'd also been given was magical.
Of course it was.
So
Jack and the Beanstalk had to be.
Essentially, if they did this right and got the lemons,
Yeah.
they were also given a recipe for lemonade, and it was actually a health potion.
Oh shit!
The lemonade was
Inbuilt
actually
heals.
going to be health potions.
That's
So
nice.
they essentially had endless health potions if they just did it right, but they never worked it out.
I've got like, it's just another lemon tree stuck in my head now. Hell yeah, that's a good one. I like that. That's awesome. Let's see.
When life gives you lemons, make health potions.
Did it work? Is it going to be louder?
The Zero Bear asked.
Oh.
Question FMK NPCs or party inclusive?
Fuck, marry, kill. NPCs or party inclusive. John wants to know who Amadriana's FMK list is.
Of course he asked that
of course,
question.
John. I don't know why that won't get louder. Yes.
Fuck, marry, kill for the party. Oh, that's a very good question.
Hard, right? It's not easy. That's a tough question.
I'm gonna answer it though, because like I feel like if you ask the question, it deserves an answer. Kill would have to be. Wait, does Lisa count as part of the party?
How dare you? No, you said NPCs and parties inclusive, so.
Okay. Oh, NPCs as well. Okay. Kill. What's his name? The owl. Hatsu's
Boreal?
brother.
Oriole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kill Boreal. Because he's just useless.
He's dying.
Probably marry Eos.
Right.
And let's be honest, fuck is gonna be Slate in his Minotaur form.
I got it. Big boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
horny fucker, you know.
All right. Well, let's go on to the next question. I don't know how quiet this will be. Sorry. Hello?
Mandola Jane asked. Question. When you have such complex characters, how do you decide when to reveal certain aspects but not revealing too much? Do you have a plan before each session starts?
So just in case, because I was quiet, when you have such complex characters, how do you decide when to reveal certain aspects but not reveal too much? Do you have a plan before each session starts?
It's a very, very, very good question. And it's one I would very much expect from her. Okay, so let me use Amagiana as the explanation for this, because obviously it's the one we all know.
No spoilers.
No. So the thing with the wings. Now, obviously, my character art has wings. However, my plan was not to reveal that for a very, very long time. Like, not that I plan to, but just that I love things to come out naturally, kind of thing. But I expected it to be much, much further down the line. Like, we all have daydreams and stuff. I'll be honest, Roper's kind of traumatized me when it comes to airships from campaign 1.
You traumatized yourselves.
Yeah, right. So I had this idea that somebody was eventually going to end up falling off over the airship, and it was going to be dive off to, catch them and fly away, kind of thing. I had ideas like, something like that might happen, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, I totally wonder where that trauma came from.
But I don't know, like when she revealed it, when I did do the thing off of the balcony and stuff, it just felt natural that would be the moment for that particular thing. The thing about getting Dash off the boat, that was more she didn't want to do that, but she also didn't want him to get caught,
Right.
because any reflection from him could also be turned towards us.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So she was thinking of self-preservation at that point. That wasn't about saving him for him. That's his stupid fault. He can get kicked out. But if there's any negative
Blowback.
knockback, exactly. So that was the reason she ended up doing that. And then when she revealed it to Eos, that was, I can't say it in any other way other than that was a sign of weakness. She felt weak at that moment because Eos had let in something that she didn't expect to ever find out, or at least not that early. And in a moment of weakness chose to reveal herself too.
Yeah.
So again, that was more instinctual. Again, because I try to put myself into the character, there's never a forethought at the beginning of the session of, oh, I'm going to fly around the school today, or, you know, I'm just going to jump out the window and show everyone my wings, that kind of thing. There's never that thought. It's always, as it happens, I'm like, okay, it makes sense right now, so let's do it. I hope that was a bit of a long-winded answer.
No, it's the right answer. It's a good example because you're using examples from what we're doing right now, which is great. No, it makes total sense. I think when it feels right, like you talk about the stuff when it feels right, and try not to burn your entire story in the first session. let it grow. Plant it like a lemon tree. Get your health potion.
That's the other thing as well, is because there is still, like, that might seem like a big reveal from Adriana.
That's baby steps. Literally in her cover art. It's baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. We got one more question and then we will do a raid.
No worries.
Next Zero Bear asked, question if your beard had a 5e character sheet. What character would it roll up?
John asked if your character had a 5e character sheet, what character would it roll up?
If my beard had a character.
Hey, beard, sorry, your beard, yes, sorry.
If my beard had a character, I mean, it's not plaited, so it's not a dwarf.
Okay.
I'm thinking it'd be like a grizzled old monk. Like, you know, you see, there's a meme. I can't think who it is, but there's a meme where someone says something about some guy's beard, and the beard just rolls up this fist and starts like punching the guy, kind of thing. So I imagine, like, if my beard was to have a character roll up, it would probably be something like a monk or a fighter, something with a, you know, a little bit of age and distinguishedness about it, but could also kick your ass.
Hell yeah. I'm in. And when we launch Only Beards, finally, that'll be it. We'll see character sheets for every beard.
Yeah.
Oh, God
what
damn,
would
man.
John's be actually then?
Yeah, I need to know. Yeah, we gotta go back and do like. Oh, we've got Weston interview coming up, right? Has that happened? Hasn't happened yet, right?
Yeah, we've had one. Yes, we have.
We have had John ones. Okay, well then we'll never know. We'll never find out.
Next set of next questions when we get around.
When we do a loop around at some point, many months from now, we can. Somebody jot that down. Perfect. Thank you so much for this, man. This was cool. Ended up being more of a, like, I had questions and stuff prepped, but ended up being more of just a chit chat between friends, which I super love. One thing that was noted throughout this as well is that, like, Solid in chat mentioned, obviously, that the D&D community is always ready to talk about it, hours and hours about D&D.
The
you mentioned
part of the D&D community.
You mentioned gatekeepers and stuff, and I know that's a thing. But I think I'm very fortunate because I don't encounter that part of the community. I have friends like you. I have friends like Solid, who pops into all our streams and supports the heck out of us and is super nice. And like their Discord, your Discord, our Discord, EC's Discord, everybody is there and willing to talk and to make friends and do stuff. And genuinely, when I say it's as easy as that, it's as easy as that.
Absolutely.
And when you have friends like Mr. Rhino here, he makes it as easy as that. That is definitely something that should be accredited. Where can people find you? Would be my final question.
Well, obviously you can find me here on Flying Orc every Wednesday playing in the Wandering Isles, and occasionally doing some other mad stuff that we'll probably do along the way. You can also find me over on the Emerald Collective, as I'm sure probably a few people have seen me play different characters and stuff like that.
Tomorrow, am I right? You're on EC
tomorrow. We are back on for Sophron Saga, where I play a half-elf cleric of Bahamut, which, strangely enough, it was only meant to be like a 3-shot thing that we were in it because he had a couple of players that had to take holiday. So we were only meant to be in it for 3 episodes, but apparently we were like so much that they decided to keep us on the whole time. I play one half of the Brothers Grimm, yes, those Grimm brothers, and that character was completely and utterly based originally off of actually Rom. By our
cool.
good friend Brian.
Yeah.
life cleric of the Platinum Dragon. I loved what he did with Rom so much that I replicated it. So yeah, and he's very zealotry as well, the same way as Rom would be.
Yeah.
So
Bryn played that brilliantly. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what inspired me to play it. So yeah, that's what I did with that one. And then if you want to see me playing games, talking, chatting D&D, chatting movies, I love all my 80s stuff. I used to write film reviews. Massively into my movies and stuff like that. Anything really, come and chat along on my my own Twitch channel. So it's twitch.tv/deranged rhino with the weird spelling that you can see on my nameplate right now.
It's in the for YouTube, it's in the plate down below, and for Twitch chat, it's already in Twitch in chat there.
Excellent, thank you. And I have a Discord as well if people want to come in and say hello to me there.
Because I'm hanging out in the Discord, I'm hanging out on the Twitch chat. I'm the mod in the Twitch chat. So you come, you get two, you get a 2-for-1 deal, package deal.
And Roper's always there looking after people. So if we do happen to get any trolls in there that are trying to gatekeep, they get the fuck out of my chat.
Trolls are out, but goblins, you guys are in. You're okay.
Only if you bring loot for me.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, that's just Jay, and he's not bringing it for you. I can tell you that. I got one more question actually from chat because it actually is a really good one, and I'm going to ask you as we set up the raid here.
Just quickly about the Twitch is one thing I always say is like, no, it's all right. One thing I always say is that they come in for the hat, but they stay for the beard.
Hell yeah. That's why we're here. That's why we're here right now.
That's going to be merch one day.
Taco Bear asked, what is, he said Amy's, so you can absolutely start swinging. What is Amy's guilty pleasure earworm? What song is she caught singing? Like, what song would she be embarrassed if she got caught singing it? What's in her playlist at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is. That's why I wanted to ask it. I like that question. Yeah.
Oh. See, I don't know for sure because I'd have to think about it a little bit more. But the instant one that came to mind was what's the name of the song? You know that I would walk. No, not the Pretenders one.
The Proclaimers, yeah.
No, not the Proclaimers one. The one that Terry Crews sings in White Chicks.
Oh, Vanessa Carlton.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you're like skipping down the hallway, someone comes out the corner, and you're like flying. Evanescence.
I would fly 1,000 miles.
Yeah, man. We probably like, probably fly like 20 because you just don't want to like get caught flying.
Yeah. I never get caught. That's why my stealth is so high.
And Dash's passive will never catch you. Don't worry.
It definitely won't.
That is obscenely low for a rogue, and I will never let it go as long as this campaign lives. I believe we're rating EC at the moment. Am I understanding that correct?
They are live. Yeah, they are live. Can do that. That'd be brilliant. Mr. Rory and Mr. John, you get a twofer. So John and Rory are both playing on EC right now. What are you even doing here? You should have been there the whole time. I'm just kidding. Please stay. We love you. They are playing at the moment, and they're like kicking butt by the looks of it. Their chat is hopping. People are happy. Carrig is their DM at the moment, and he's a good friend of ours too. So show him some love. He's a very good DM. Dave is playing in it as well, so you're super lucky. This is a packed table. It's a good table.
You've got Kira as well and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a crazy stacked table. Huge fan of like Kira and everybody as well. So it's awesome. Great. If you guys have any questions and everything, please always pop into our Discord, pop it into chat, do anything. And if the social manager were to hear that I didn't really promote the socials at all during this, he would be very, very angry. So if anyone asks,
and tomorrow,
I will be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT +1 Irish time, 5 p.m. I basically come out of work and go straight into the stream because I'm crazy like that. And so what we'll be doing tomorrow is a mystery to me. I forgot. Oh, we're having a chat. That's right. We are talking about balancing. That's right. I'm so sorry. This is my 12th hour of today of just nonstop. So it's been a long day. So yeah, we'll be talking about balancing, combat, balancing, setting up things. I'm going to set up the raid while I vamp. And yeah, we're talking about like different types of conflict and stuff. And as the feedback was really good from last week, I did a tutorial for like 30 minutes. And we ended up talking for like 45 minutes after. Tomorrow's just going to be a casual talk. I'll talk about balancing and my stuff and stuff like that. And I will talk to chat and we can have a conversation about this because I just want to talk to you guys more than I want to talk about like schools and tutorials. YouTube will get the tutorials and stuff like that. Twitch, you guys get the convos. So thank you so much for
any further questions you got, come over into the Discord. D&D related or not.
Hell yeah. And always you guys are throwing around subs, bits, hypes, and emotes, and all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's very, very hard to keep up with, but we very, very much so appreciate it. If we ever miss it, it's not intentional. We try and thank everybody personally for everything you guys do, because without that, there wouldn't be this. We would do our best anyway, but it's just super, super, super great to be able to reward the players and do things. And we can't do that without you. So thank you so much for being a part of this as well. Our fans and our community mean a lot to us, which is why we want you in the Discord. It isn't come over and be one of our numbers. It's a come over and hang out with us because we need more friends. So please do. We always hang out and we love our fans. We're jumping over to EC. Show some love. Carrig is doing a wonderful job. I can't wait to watch this. I'm actually going to watch the VOD for this as well, because this is a studded table. You guys are going to love this. These boys are fun as hell. 10 seconds. We're jumping over.
What do we shout?
Orc Raid. Multipass.
Orc
Thank you
Raid.
guys so much. All the best.